Thanks for joining us tonight. Over the past several weeks, Action 2 News has been following the prevalence of alleged sex crimes against children in Brown County.
April is National Sexual Assault Awareness Month and Child Abuse Prevention Month. Brittany Schmidt talks to child advocates about our local resources and what parents can do.
Since the beginning of the year, Brown County prosecutors are pursuing a number of alleged sex crimes against children. Action 2 News is not identifying the suspects facing charges in an effort to protect the juvenile victims. But these are some of the alleged crimes now before a Brown County judge. Willow Tree Cornerstone Child Advocacy Center in Green Bay works with children affected by different forms of abuse, including sexual abuse. Program manager and child forensic interviewer Christy Sickles says there isn't a telltale sign that a child is a victim of abuse.
Every individual, every child, regardless if they're like male, female, and their age, they're going to display different symptoms. A child could have a regression in their developmental milestones. They may have some acting out behaviors. But also those behaviors can also lead to other issues going on in a child's life, but it also can be other ways of a child trying to reach out or trying to tell someone that they need help.
While there are resources like Willow Tree in the community to help with investigations, Sickles says parents can help with prevention.
Parents really serve as the best educators when it comes to promoting body safety with their children.
Sickles says teaching kids the proper names of private body parts is important and that they are meant to be covered up.
Also practice anatomy with children too, letting children know that they have the right to say no to unwanted touches or feels that they get from anybody, even people that they know and trust.
Sickles says it's also important to continue to have these conversations with your kids as they age, just like you do when reminding them to wear a helmet when riding a bike or a seatbelt while in the car.
We can't expect to have a conversation about keeping their body safe one time with a child and then for the child to, retain that information and then to, move forward with that information. So it's important to keep the message going with kids.
In Green Bay, Brittany Schmidt, Action 2 News.